right, everybody. I wanted to give you a second look at these unit tests and what it looks like getting them implemented, or rather getting the implementation code written for the tests. So I'm going to go through them all here. I'll move pretty quickly. If you do need, though, feel free to stop the video, go back, watch over what I did, and if you still don't understand it, you can shoot me a message. All right. So this is the repository that we worked through the other day, and I've already cloned it down to my machine, and I've installed all the dependencies. So let's go take a look at it. So this is my setup that I'm going to be working through. Yours may look a little bit different depending on what tools you're using. But just so you understand what you're looking at on my screen, in the upper left-hand corner here, we have the functions.js file. Okay, that's our implementation file. Below that, in the lower left-hand corner, we have the test file, functions.test.js. And then over on the right-hand side, this is my terminal running. So I'm going to be running the tests over here on the right-hand side, while I have the tests themselves down in the lower left and the implementation in the upper left. Okay, so to get started, let's go ahead and run the tests. All right now, looks like everything is skipped. So my first step is going to be to unskip the first test. The test says inside the add two numbers describe block, it should be able to add 0 to 0. So unskip the test, go back over to the terminal, run the test. All right. So I see I have a failure, and I look down to the failure. Inside of functions, inside of add two numbers, the test should be able to add 0 to 0. The actual error that I have is a type error. Add two numbers is not a function. And I see that that error is happening in the test file, functions test.js, on line 16. So if I go over and look at line 16, I'm trying to call this function add two numbers, and I'm being told it doesn't exist. Okay. Add two numbers was pulled in to this file on line 4 of the test file. And what this is saying is that when I required whatever was given to me from this file functions.js, there should have been a method, or a function rather, in there called add two numbers, and there wasn't. So how do I fix that? First off, I need a function called add two numbers. It's going to have to do something, but I don't really care what it does yet because I just want the error to change. And then this last piece that I need, module.exports equals an object with a key of add two numbers and a value of the function that's declared above, add two numbers. This last step right here, what I did between lines 6 and 8 in the implementation file, is super important. What this is doing is allowing the line 5 or 4 in the test file to actually work. Okay, so I'm requiring whatever was exported from functions.js, and then I'm accessing the add two numbers property on that object that was exported. So I now have access to add two numbers in my test file. So I'll save my implementation file and go run the tests again. All right, this time I get a different error. It says expected undefined to equal 0. right here. And I see that that error is happening on line 19 of the test file. So let's go look at line 19. Down to line 19, I have an error in my assertion now. So I expected that the result was going to equal 0. This result was handed to me by whatever came out of add two numbers. Okay. The variable result is assigned to the evaluation of the function add two numbers. And this means that result right now is undefined. So why is result undefined? Well, this function add two numbers right now doesn't return anything. Let me just see the error change in an unusual way. Okay, so I'm going to make it return something, but I'm going to return the string potato. See if that changes our error in any way. Go over the test suite, run it. And now I see something different. The error is still happening on line 19. That's what this tells me right here. But instead of expected undefined to equal 0, it says expected potato to equal 0. So what's happening is this add two numbers function is returning me the string potato. That's getting assigned to result, and I'm expecting potato to equal 0, and that doesn't work. So let's go back over, and let's make this test pass. Simplest way to make it pass is to just return 0. Okay? That's all this test is trying to figure out is, does the function add two numbers return 0? Other tests are going to try to solve other cases, but right now I just want to make this test pass. Run the test again, and now it's passing. Cool. I can move on to the next test. So let's unskip the second test. Save the file. Run the test suite again. Okay, this time first test still passes, but the second test fails. Get an assertion error, expected 0 to equal 1. So that's telling me I expected 1, but I actually got 0. And the error is happening on the functions test file, line 29. So let's go look at line 29. Go down to 29. So I've got something for result, but I expected it to be 1. All right, well, I want to just make this pass. Maybe I'll just try changing return 0 to return 1. Let's see what happens. Okay, now I have a different failure. My second test is passing. I see up here. But my first test, which was passing, is now failing. Okay, so I don't want to return just a single value. I want to do something with these arguments that are getting passed in. Right now, you'll notice if I look at my implementation, I don't even have any parameters for my function. But when I call the function in my tests, I'm passing in two different arguments. Okay, I need to have the same number of parameters as arguments that I'm passing in. So I'll say num1 and num2. Now, I might not know exactly what this test is getting at. It's pretty straightforward that I need to add these numbers. But say I didn't know that, okay? And I look at this first test and I see that result is supposed to be 0. And I look at the second test and I see result is supposed to be 1. Well, the first parameter that I'm passing in this first test, first argument is 0. And in the second test, the first argument is 1. So maybe if I just return the first argument, I'll pass my tests. Save that. Go run my test suite again. And there we go. I'm passing the tests. All right, let's unskip the next one. Okay, should be able to add 1 to 1. Save that. Go run the tests. All right, now I've got a failing test for my third test. Expected 1 to equal 2. So this is happening because if I look at my test, add two numbers, passing in 1 and 1. All right. And I actually look at my implementation up here. Well, I passed in 1 and 1, and then I just returned 1. But what I really wanted to do was return 2. Easiest way to get this passing now is to return num1 plus num2. Save that. Go run our test. And everything's passing. Okay, we've got our first function implemented. So now let's move down and unskip our first test for our second function. All right, save that, run the test, and I get an error, say hello is not a function. Okay, well, let's go look at our implementation. Say hello is not a function. Where did say hello come from? The error is happening on line 48. I know that because look over here in the test failure. It says the error happened on functions test line 48. Line 48, I'm trying to call this thing, say hello. It doesn't exist. If I go to the top of my test file, I see that I tried to name a variable called say hello and set it equal to whatever the say hello property was from the object that I required from the functions.js file. I go look at that file and I see, well, I don't have a say hello property in the object that I'm exporting. So I probably need something. So we'll give it a say hello property and a value of the function that I just declared, say hello. Save that. And let's run our test again and see if the error changes. All right, it changed. And this time it says expected undefined to equal hi there, Lita. Okay, well, this is kind of like our last problem. Okay, the error is happening on line 51 of the functions test. Let's go look at line 51. All right, expected undefined to equal hi there, Lita. That means result is undefined. Result is undefined because my function, say hello, doesn't currently return anything, which means it returns undefined. So let's make it pass. Return. Hi there, Lita. Save that. Run our test. And it passes. Sweet. On to the next test. All right, save it. Run the test. Okay, line 61, failure. And the failure is expected hi there Lita to equal hi there Casey. Okay, so let's go take a look at the test. So I got the string hi there Lita. Well, now if I really look at this say hello function, I see that I'm passing in a string of some kind, and then that string seems to be used in the return value. So if I look at the function that I've currently implemented, I don't actually have any parameters defined. So that thing is a name, and I want to use it. Instead of just returning hi there Lita, I want to return hi there and interpolate whatever the name was that was passed into me. So let's save that. Run the test again. And it passes. All right. Unskip the next test. Unskip and run the test. All right. So expected hi there will to equal no more testing will. Okay, so maybe I'm not quite where I need to be. Let's go take a look at the test. It's failing on line 71. So 71. So I got the string, hi there will, but it should be no more testing will. What does this test say? It should not be able to say hello to Will. So I guess if I pass the name Will in, I should do something else. So if I get this string will, do something else. Otherwise, maybe if I want to keep passing these other tests, just do what I've been doing. If this, then that, conditional logic is going to be required here. So if the name is equal to Will, I need to do something. Otherwise, do what I've been doing. Okay, that's a pretty significant change. It's probably not going to pass, but it might tell me if my code works in the other test cases. So let's go ahead and save that and go run my tests. Okay, this is kind of interesting. So my previous tests still pass, so they're working. My error, though, has changed. Expected undefined to equal no more testing will. Why is that happening? If I go look at my function, if the name is equal to will, this in here is what's currently executing. There's nothing here. The else statement, return hi there name, only executes if the name is not equal to will. So what I need to return is no more testing will so that I can pass this test. And I could do some interpolation here, but since this is such a specific case, I don't think it really saves me anything to interpolate the name, since it would only be for the name will. If I save that and go run the test, hey, it passes. Awesome. All right, so let's go see what this build car is all about. Unskip the first test. Watch it fail. All right, build car is not a function. Okay, this should start to feel pretty familiar at this point. We tried to import the build car function here on line 6 of the test file, but it's not a function, so it's not working. Why isn't it a function? Well, if we go up and look at our implementation, we don't have a function called build car in the object that we're exporting. So let's make that function and then export it. Save that. Go run the test again. All right, different error. This time it's happening on line 84. Says cannot read property color of undefined. Well, let's go see what line 84 in the test file is all about. Okay, cannot read property color of undefined. when you see this, when it says cannot read property something of something else, the thing that it's trying to read that property off of is the thing to the left. In this case, result. So when it says cannot read property color of undefined, the thing that's undefined is this result. Where did that result get its value from? Right up here on line 81. The result was set equal to the result of calling the build car function. Why is it undefined? Because right now our function doesn't return anything. So let's try returning an empty object. Save that. Now run our test again. Okay, we've got an undefined in here again, but it's different. Okay, and the error is still happening on line 84. So let's go take another close look. Go to line 84. Expected undefined to equal red. Okay, so result now is something. It's an empty object. Dot color on my empty object, that's what's undefined. Okay, and it expected it to be red. All right, well, I just want this to pass. Let's say color is red. Run our test again. Hey, test passes. Look at that. All right, let's go skip the next one. Run my test. Expected undefined to equal truck. Okay. I go in here and I see that the error is happening on line 96. It's down here. So result.type must be undefined. And that's because the object that I'm returning doesn't have a type property. So I expected it to be truck. Okay, cool. I'll make it truck. Save that. Go run the test. Hey, it passes. Now, one thing I noticed looking at this, I didn't write some really good, robust tests here because I'm passing in arguments, but I didn't even use those arguments. I instead just hard-coded things up in my function. So I wouldn't expect you to do this right now, but I'm going to add another test. It should return a car with a different color and type. Because I don't want people to be able to get past my tests so easily. And we'll copy some of this stuff. And this time the color is going to be blue. And it's going to be a sedan. And I'm going to add one more assertion here saying that the result dot color should be the color that I passed in as an argument. Okay. So I created these local variables, color and type. I passed them in as arguments to my build car function. And now I'm saying those should be the color and type on the resulting object. Save that. Let's go run our tests. All right. Expected red to equal blue. Failing on line 108 of the test suite. Okay, so let's go look at that. result.color was red and it was supposed to be blue. And why is that? Well, because if I look at my implementation, all cars that I build, no matter what I pass as arguments, are going to come back as red trucks. I don't want that. So let's go ahead and add these parameters now. Okay, the parameter, it's going to need a color and it's going to need a type. And I'm going to use that color. Okay, and I'll just use the color for now, and we'll see it fail on the truck piece as well. Okay, so save that, run the test. Okay, now I'm failing on line 109, expected truck to equal sedan. Let's go look at line 109 in the test suite. Sure enough, we got past this first assertion on line 108, so that means that's working. But line 109, we expected truck to actually equal sedan. That's because this is still hard-coded, so let's fix that now and make it dynamic. Run the tests, and they pass. All right, last one. Oh man, what do we have here? Expected color undefined, type undefined to deeply equal an empty array. So for a little context of what this wants me to do, I should probably read line 112 in the test suite. And it says, should return an empty object if there are no details passed. Okay, this is what we call SAD path testing. It's really important, right? It's basically saying how my function should behave in the event somebody uses it improperly, right? In this case, nobody passed me a color and a type. So I'm saying what should happen is that I should hand back an empty object. But what is instead happening, if I look at the test failure, is that I'm handing back an object that has the keys of color and type with the values strictly set to undefined. Okay? So if I don't have anything passed, then I need to hand back an empty object. If you catch yourself saying something like that, you probably want a conditional. So if I don't have a color and type, how can I say this? With the bang operator. If no color and no type, return an empty object. Otherwise, do exactly what you were already doing, function, because I want my other test to still pass. Save that. Go run our test suite. And it all passes. All right, everybody. I hope that was helpful. Feel free to go back and review it again and shoot me any questions if things are still unclear.